Okay, so pitchers and catchers reported to spring training today, but that's not anything near what this video is about. We're going to be talking about the Marlins, Cubs. They both made huge moves today. And we're going to be talking about Kris Bryant not being traded this offseason, according to their GM, Jed Hoyer. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. But before I get into this video, 68% of you that watch these videos that not subscribe, get your life together, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and leave a like on this video. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a like. Let's go ahead and get into this video. First, we're going to talk about the Cubs. They signed a former All-Star in Brandon Workman. He's only going to be getting paid like $1 million and with another $2 million in incentives, which is going to mean about $3 million for Brandon Workman next season. So it's a one-year deal. And this Brandon Workman deal could actually be a good move here for the Chicago Cubs, who need bullpen help. Craig Kimbrell was terrible. But Brandon Workman doesn't give up a lot of home runs. And like I said, he was an All-Star in 2019. Or I thought he was an All-Star. Never mind, he wasn't. But he played like an All-Star in 2019. In 2020, though, 1-4 with a 5.95 ERA. Had a bad season. But that was mainly in Philadelphia that he didn't have the greatest season. He was okay with the Red Sox, not great at all. But Brandon Workman is a player that overall in his MLB career, 25-20 with a 3.89 ERA. So he can be a very good player for your team, and especially for a team like the Cubs that need relief pitching so bad and don't really have a lot of space in the luxury tax. And this is a good move, I think. I personally really like this move because I don't know what you can expect out of Craig Kimbrell. Going off Fangraphs, they're expecting 3.66 ERA and 32 saves. That's not the old Craig Kimbrell at all, but that's still a solid season for Craig Kimbrell. This just is another move in your bullpen that is good. They also brought back Pedro Strop, so you got two bullpen arms right there that will immediately fit in as good arms. I think you have Craig Kimbrell, Brandon Workman, and Pedro Strop in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. That starts to be a better bullpen. Is Brandon Workman the deciding factor in this team being a lot better? I don't think so, but Brandon Workman, I think, could be a very good option here for the Cubs, especially if he can play like he did in 2019. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the Miami Marlins because they made a move with the other team in Florida, the Tampa Bay Rays, for John Curtis, and the Rays got back a first baseman, minor leaguer Evan Edwards, but the main person in this trade is obviously John Curtis, who was really, really good in 2020 with a 3-0 record with a 1.80 ERA. John Curtis was actually really good for the Rays and has been pretty solid in his short MLB career so far with a 3-1 record with a 3.83 ERA in 35 games, 3 started. So that is a really good pickup by the Marlins here. Let's go and look at Evan Edwards, see if he's worth anything, because he could be, but as good of his arm as that was, it's not gonna be the worst thing ever for the Rays team because they always find a way. He was a 4th-round pick in 2019 by Miami. Ed had a really good 2019 season, 9 home runs, 50 RBIs, and a 281 batting average. So maybe Evan Edwards could be a solid pickup for the Rays here, but he only finished in A-ball. So, yeah. But for the Marlins team, this gives them another arm in their bullpen that they desperately need help in. Now you have Anthony Bass, Yimi Garcia, John Curtis, Dylan Floro. You're making moves here, and your bullpen's starting to get much better, in my opinion. So that's a good move by the Marlins. Here for the Rays, you've still got Pete Fairbanks, Nick Anderson, Diego Castillo. You've still got a lot of arms in this bullpen, and they'll find a way to make it work. But I thought that John Curtis was a good little pickup for the Marlins, and he's not going to be your closer, but he's going to be he's going to be a real solid player out of the bullpen for this Marlins team. Now let's get into the main topic of today's video, and that's Kris Bryant. Jed Hoyer said that the Kris Bryant trade rumors are, quote, inaccurate. And I actually believe this. I think that there is some trade rumors, and I do think there are some teams that are calling Jed Hoyer's phone and being like, could we maybe swing a trade for Kris Bryant? But I don't think that they're realistic because I don't think that the Cubs were going to move on from Kris Bryant. That I did think at one point that maybe they were going to move on from Kris Bryant after that Yu Darvish trade, but I just don't see it happening this offseason. Now after these comments, especially, I don't see it happening. Okay, so here's what Jed Hoyer said in NBC Sports Chicago was interviewing, and he said, by and large, I would expect this is what our team will look like at the start of next season. He did say that they were going to add some bullpen arms, which they did with Brandon Workman and Pedro Strop today. But Kris Bryant here, not being traded. I'm not shocked at all. I think if Kris Bryant's being traded, he's being traded at the deadline. And I think that is if the Cubs know that they're not re-signing him after that season. Because the Cubs will have to pay an Anthony Rizzo, I'm pretty sure, if they want to keep him. And I'm pretty sure Javier Baez is a free agent too. We know how good Kris Bryant is. And it makes no sense for the Cubs to trade him right now because he's at the lowest value of all time after a season that was his worst, filled with injuries, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, and a 206 batting average. That's not Kris Bryant. 142 home runs, 414 RBIs, and a 280 batting average overall in his MLB career. In 2019, 31 home runs, 77 RBIs, and a 282 batting average. He's going to hit for a pretty high average and be a good player. He does tend to get injured quite a bit, honestly. He does get injured quite a bit. So, yeah, but Kris Bryant overall, he's a really, really good player. And it just doesn't make sense for the Cubs to trade him. It really doesn't because you're going to be trading him for, I don't know. It was reported that they would want like Francisco Alvarez back from the Mets in a potential trade, which makes sense because Francisco Alvarez, it doesn't really make sense for them to get him, though. Just for the simple reason that they've already got Miguel Amaya in that farm system. And this year could be the last year of the Cubs even remotely competing. They could really go into a rebuild after this season. And the Cubs starting rotation still is okay with Kyle Hendricks, Zach Davies. It's not good, but it's okay. So, yeah. For the Cubs here, I don't think they should trade Bryant. I think you should trade him at the deadline. I think that's most likely when you're going to get more from him than right now. I just don't see them getting a lot for him right now. I mean, if I was the GM of the Cubs, I would probably just run it back for another year because this is probably going to be the last year. Because realistically, you can't re-sign Kris Bryant, Javier Baez, and Anthony Rizzo. That most likely will not happen that they re-sign all 3 of those players, and I could be wrong. But I mean, I could see a Wilson Contreras being traded maybe at the trade deadline or next offseason. I don't think he remains a Cub. I'm just saying, with the start of the 2022 MLB season starts, I don't think Wilson Contreras will be a Cub. What I'm saying is they're pretty much